Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about invisible disabilities, and the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because my 10-year-old son is autistic. For me, his diagnosis is not a problem. In fact, it's a relief because it has made it easier for me to understand how he views the world and why he responds to it in the way that he does. The problem I have is with everybody else, especially the people that have to support him at the moment in school, social services, and all those other services that are around him. And the reason for that is because they don't understand his disability. If it was a physical disability, they would absolutely support him in a different way. But what is happening at the moment is my son tends to walk out of the classroom during the day. He's in a class of 30 children, okay? He doesn't have a one-to-one. He needs a one-to-one. But he will walk out of class because he's having a sensory overload. It is too bright, it is too noisy, loads of other things are happening for him. But nobody understands this. Instead, today I came home to a letter from the school telling me that if he continues to walk out of class, we're going to need to have a face-to-face meeting, and that I need to sit down with him and talk to him and tell him that he needs to stop walking out of class. Okay? I mean, for me, with my professional background, and I just stop in my tracks and I go, are you serious? Are you seriously telling me that I should tell a child whose disability causes them to have sensory overload, that they should stop having that overload because it's inconvenient for you as a school to provide him with a quiet space? If you don't want to walk with him or leave him unsupervised, obviously the school are writing to me because I have complained that on several occasions I have come to the school and found my son wandering around on his own with no supervision. So to try and twist that around to make it a reasonable excuse to exclude him, they're now telling me that if I cannot tell my son to stop wandering around the school, they are going to exclude him. I had to stop myself because I was in shock. I have worked so hard to try and get him, his education, health and care plan, if you live in England, so that he can get the additional support he needs. I've tried to work with the school to implement the additional support that he needs. I've tried to work with his social worker just to get him to understand that his living arrangement and school are causing him trauma. But nobody understands this. Instead, the blame is firmly put back on you as a parent to say, you are the problem. You are the reason why your child is behaving like this. If only you would speak to your child, they would stop behaving like this. My son is classed as a high-functioning autistic because he can read, he's verbal, and to a certain extent he can keep up with the school curriculum. He's the most loving, caring, social little boy you'll ever meet. But he doesn't always get the social cues right. He gets sensory overload. And so occasionally he will lash out because he's in distress and he's trying to communicate his distress to people that don't understand him. Bearing in mind, he does not do this when he's at home. And what has happened last week is I will get an email from the school saying, we now class your child as a danger to himself and a danger to other people. What does putting such a thing on a disabled child's record do for their future? What other school, what other institution, when he's going to get jobs, or God forbid, something should happen, you know, when he's out on his own, the police get involved, he's already got this label of being naughty, of being a danger to others, of being a danger to himself, simply because he got sensory overload. Nobody was able to detect that early and provide him with the interventions that he needed to help him settle. And now he has this permanent blemish on his record. If he had a disability that you could see, he would be treated differently. People would feel more able to make excuses for him. And autism is not the only invisible disability. Mental health is also other mental health problems, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, eating disorders. They're all invisible disabilities that people do not see and people do not give enough weight to, the impact, the negative impact that they can have on a person. And then the added impact of people then further labeling you, making your life even more difficult than it needs to be. This needs to change. We need to stop mistreating people with invisible disabilities. We need to make sure that autistic children in schools are supported in the way they need to be supported, instead of being labelled as naughty, instead of being labelled as a danger to others. Schools, social services need to be doing more to support these children. It's early intervention. You're the first people to see them as children. Do more to support them so that by the time they become adults, everybody knows what their needs are and how to support them, so that these young people are not ending up in prisons, are not ending up in hospitals away from home. As a parent, I worry every day for my son, okay? Every single day. I worry about his future, because if it is happening now in primary school when he's 10 that he's being labelled as a danger to himself, what is going to happen as he gets older and he becomes a teenager and he's big and he's strong, and you know, what is going to happen then? We need to treat people with invisible disabilities differently.